It's a new year, which means new monthly reports. It's been a couple months, and in that time the format has changed a bit. But don't worry, this is still the best place to get the most important monthly updates of Star Citizen. Let's look at the monthly highlights from November and December in this monthly review. And stick around until the end to hear how you could win a liquid CPU cooler from Azatec. Thank you for coming to my Tomato Talk. Starting with AI, the tech team has finished initial work on the planetary navigation mesh, an initial version that contains all the basic work needed for NPCs to begin finding and moving along paths on planet surfaces. This is something we only just talked about in the 5 key upcoming developments video and article I put out recently. It's a feature that could greatly increase the amount of activity we see on moons and planets when implemented, but who knows when it will make it into the game. The team also took another pass on AI trolley push and pull in order to make sure designers could start using it with AI actually loading and moving the trolleys in the PU, cause right now, they do nothing. Progress was also made on the Subsumption editor tool. This tool controls the logic of NPCs and now includes all the base elements needed for new missions and NPC behaviors. This is also a pretty key development in bringing the verse to life around us, but no real clue on how soon we might expect to see it. Something you really don't see much of in Star Citizen are facial animations. It's weird considering the first person's perspective, but it makes sense. Up until now, we've not had many NPCs to interact with. Essentially, it was just the mission givers. But as the game becomes more stable and NPCs become part of our daily lives, they do need to improve. The animation team progressed in November and December with general security lines and animations for workers, vendors, and medical behaviors. These aren't major additions, but anybody who has visited a refinery center knows the NPCs could really use some actual tasks to do. In ship art, the Hull A has made good progress with most of the interior in the final art phase. This ship is the smallest of the whole line of industrial cargo haulers, but still manages to carry a lot of cargo for the size thanks to the special folding mechanisms. The Hull C has reached the gray box review with numerous small updates to the existing model being made, converting materials, adding control panels, and refining the seating arrangement. The Scorpius has moved through white box phase and continues in gray box. The Drake Vulture, upcoming Salvage introductory ship, only has a lighting pass remaining. But don't get excited, the majority of work for this ship is going to be technical. And the Drake Corsair, one of my personal most anticipated ships, moved into the gray box phase. On the engine side of things, I don't know much. But what I can say is that those R display info stats that everybody uses to get their in-game statistics, they're being reworked, which will affect a lot of people. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. For more on the ongoing game engine work though, I would read the full report. It's confusing, but this is important stuff. Much of the trouble players have while playing the game is explained by the fact that the actual ground floor is still being worked on. This engine work provides a lot of insight into the game's development. In-game character and weapons features, Salvage received work. The initial focus was on the technical aspect of visually removing material from an object and ensuring its state can be reliably stored and recreated, both across the network and when the object streams back in again. This is currently being prototyped using the damage map system. As I always say, the monthly reports are the best indicator of what is really being worked on. Never before when Salvage was on the roadmap has it also been in the monthly reports. Hacking has evolved to be more competitive. It has changed multiple times now throughout development and now focuses on the player executing scripts to programmatically attack the target system that's being hacked. In gameplay features, significant progress was made on item selling. It's very possible that by the next update, players will be able to sell specific items for UEs. For vehicle features, Gravlev saw the base implementation of its rework, making hover bikes usable. This has made a pretty big difference in the game. Taking a ground vehicle out to explore planets and moons is now viable, and the Daymar Rally greatly benefited from these changes in just the last few weeks. There was also work done on jump points, which are progressing well. This particular work included abnormal exits from the jump path, such as falling out of a ship or the powering down of a jump point. Jump points are what will take players from one star system to another, and have been in concept for 9 years. It is very possible we'll finally see them in-game this year. In the graphics department, volumetric lighting in water was updated. This falls in line with the various water gameplay improvements we've been seeing recently on the progress tracker. Still a sector I feel comes from the far left, but we'll see how it fits into the game. The fire hazard feature also received work with heat and temperature moving into the physics proxy. This fire hazard will be a dynamic system that can jump from vegetation to vegetation and spread throughout ship components. It's going to be a pretty big part of gameplay, and we already know plenty about this feature as we've covered it multiple times in the last year. I'd expect to see more on this in the coming months. For light, amongst other improvements, the team made some lighting changes to older ships and added another layer of polish on the lighting passes of some. They also continued work on the pyro space stations that bring some much needed and pretty extreme diversity to the game compared to the rather well-kept space stations of Stanton. As we get closer to the release of the second star system, we'll take closer looks at the stations, planets, and people of Pyro in some lore videos. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and get them recommended when they are released. The narrative team met with the mission features team to start work on additional mission content for players to experience. We learned some of the narratives behind the frontier as well. The clothes will be influenced by Earth and Terra, the centers of humanity, but they will have their own overall aesthetic. You'll see these styles generally in the less traversed areas of the game, outposts, towns, and space stations off the trade lanes. In Systemic Services and Tools, or the SST team, work was wrapped up on the economy, tools, and AI sim optimizations and tools polish. This will be detailed in the January report next month. The existing in-game shop system was reworked to act as the foundation for the upcoming item selling functionality implemented later this year. In tech animation, a massive overhaul of every single head asset in the game was a big goal for the team, as the full DNA character customization refactor will be added to the game hopefully in the next update. This will be the third major addition of the character customizer, and the first in quite a while, after the initial release in Alpha 3.1 and a follow-up with Alpha 3.5. The UI team worked on the refueling HUD that will be used to transfer fuel between ships, and the new star map. For the new star map, which we discussed just a couple weeks ago, display controls were added to modify relative distances, orientations, and scale, as well as properly frame objects. Simple things, not incredibly exciting, but likely to be good improvements in addition to whatever else comes with the update feature. Hacking received some work on the text side, allowing for text to be editable. A new editor for the building block system has entered pre-production, building blocks being the UI creation tool that was initially launched a couple of years ago. And on the art side, concepts were developed for the new Mobiglass, augmented reality markers, the star map, Aegis HUD modes, and the Origin HUD. With 3D building blocks possibly functional at this point, it seems the potential for new UI additions is much higher now. In VFX, the effects for a future-sized 3 bomb were created for those not looking to blow up everything. Planetary storm effects were tweaked, and salvage effects entered R&D. That is the summary of November and December, all the most interesting developmental updates we received in those months by category. If you'd like to see the rest of these, hit the playlist down below. It's interesting to see how certain features continuously pop up throughout the year. And if you'd like even more Star Citizen content, consider subscribing or becoming a Patreon member and supporting my family while getting additional exclusive videos every month, as well as behind the scenes content and more. Also, come hop on the live stream on this YouTube channel and say hi on any Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. Also, for the next couple of weeks, I'll be running a new giveaway. I've partnered up with MSI and Azatec to give away an MSI Core Liquid K360 CPU cooler to a member of the Garden community. This should help in alleviating your CPU from the horrid torture that Star Citizen likes to put our computers through. Head over to my website for this and more using the link down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.